Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Our attention is now on the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, which held its national convention to the National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja today, with President Muhammadu Buhari in attendance. The party today has decided it will hold its presidential primaries between the 30th of May and 1st of June 2022, and has also fixed the cost for nomination of forms as well as ceding powers of the NEC to the NWC for 90 days. But there are fears about the happenings in the party. I'll allow you to listen to the chairman, first the President Muhammadu Buhari, and then the national chairman, Abdullahi Adamu.
I call on all party members to abide by all extant laws, rules, and regulations, and to leaders of our party to avoid imposition of candidates that cannot win popular elections. 3, we'll depend more on our capacity to respect our own extant rules and regulations. Once again, the principal challenge before you is the need to forge a united front for the party. This dictatorial behavior cost us many strategic seats in the past. In the recent past, this led to some of our strong members, unfortunately, opting to go elsewhere because of unfairly oppressive behavior of party leaders at state level.
Human problems and challenges are not solved with a magic wand. Their solutions must follow slow but sure processes. Well, as the saying goes, all is fair in war. The facts are there, but when political parties choose to fight dirty and throw mud in every direction, they do not care for facts, because lies are easy to be invented and are by their nature sweet. As members of the APC, we have a duty to defend the sterling records of this administration. We should not shy away from this. Politics is a competitive game by its nature. It can be rough. Let the others play it rough, but we will play it as statesmen and women. We must continue to match their lies with truth and verifiable facts about this administration.
All right, then, you heard President Muhammadu Buhari and the Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the national chairman of the APC. A lot of things came out of that meeting. Don't forget, at the opening session, there was a closed door session. Then the media was later invited when the open speeches were made and all of that. Out of all of this, let me give you an understanding of some of the conclusions that were made at that meeting. First and foremost, the biggest one that a lot of people were talking about is the primary. The date has been set. But above all, is the cost of the nomination form and the expression of interest form that is being talked about for several times now. So let's take a look at how the cost of nomination and expression of interest from, first and foremost, let's take a look at that one. For the presidential position, 100 million naira is for the cost of nomination and expression of interest form. For governorship, it is 50 million naira. For senatorial seat, 20 million naira. House of Reps is 10 million naira, and the State House of Assembly, 2 million naira. There's a 50% discount for candidates less than 40 years, and free tickets for women and persons living with disabilities. Now, there's a timetable that has been set for the presidential primary, which is the commencement of sale of forms is April the 23rd, 2022, and the primary will hold between 30th and June the 1st, 2022. Well, these are some of the decisions that were reached after the NEC meeting. First and foremost is that they fixed a date for the presidential primary. They decided the cost of nomination and expression of interest form, adopted a mode of election, cut cost of forms for under 40s and the people living with disability, and decision-making power of NEC transferred to the Adamu-led NWC for a period of 90 days. Let's get more insight into the outcome of that NEC meeting. I'm being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Mr. Felix Moka. It's his first time of appearing on the program. If there were opportunity to ring a bell for you, this is your first outing right here on the nation's #1 political program. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
Right. First and foremost, let's get this out of the way. There are a lot of confusions out there about the mode of primary. What did you agree on today?
We didn't make a decision about that. I've read a few reports that suggested that a particular mode of primaries was decided today. That's not the case. But in the coming days, the NWC, especially given its new authority with the powers you referred to that were ceded by the NEC to it, we'll be grappling with that question and we make that decision in the coming days.
Why was it difficult? I guess it's one of the things that you discussed at the closed-door meeting. I understand that the president wanted consensus. Is that the case?
There was no discussion of the mode of elections.
Did the president say that he wanted consensus?
The president simply was laying out, some broad principles that should govern the process. Issues of fairness, of inclusion, of just letting people who mean well and who mean business to be afforded the fullest of opportunity to vie for the various offices. But I don't think the president did specify, and the president, wouldn't do that. Because in
his body language, it does look like he's favored a certain mode of primary in the party. Well, in the first place, he was one who muted the idea of consensus. He was never part of our laws. He muted it in the National Assembly, now inserted it and adopted it. So, there are a lot of talks after the meeting for some of those who were part of the closed-door meeting say the president looks like he wanted a consensus.
At this
stage,
his
body language read so much?
At this stage, we prefer, express discussions and decisions made, not, trying to make meaning of anyone's body language. But I can confirm to you that the issue of the mode of primaries was not on the agenda. There are two issues that were placed before the NEC today. The first was the motion to, devolve some of NEC's authority to the NWC for a period of 90 days. And the other was the schedule of activities. So there was no conversation.
Let's take it one after the other.
Yes.
The first one being the ceding of the NEC's powers. And the power of the NEC is almost absolute in every sense of it, because NEC has a power to ratify, to remove, disciplinary actions and a lot of that. Why did the NWC covet the power of NEC?
No, the NWC did not covet the power of NEC.
Or why did you want it?
NEC decided at today's meeting to cede those powers to the NWC. They're very specific powers.
Why? Because
we're now in that period of engagement with our primaries, where decisions will have to be made rapidly. NEC of any party is not something you convene every day or even every week. In our constitution, there are periods of notice that are required to get NEC together. You don't just call a NEC meeting. So during this very, high wire period, NEC thought that it was expedient to grant some of those, powers to NWC to enable it function optimally in the conduct of our primaries.
What part of your law, your constitution, APC constitution, did you follow in ceding the power of NEC to the NWC?
We have provisions in the constitution
expressly
that permit
or implied.
NEC is a body.
Yeah.
And every organ of the party has authority to exercise its powers under the constitution, and actually has, the authority, like with many, organs of agencies and entities, to delegate those powers. That's a normal legal construct, that individual or body that has authority to exercise power has, delegative power as well. So NEC merely exercised the authority to delegate, some of these functions to the NWC in order for the NWC to be enabled to conduct the business of primaries that, is with us now.
So the motion was moved by the Senate President. Is it? Am I right? And it was seconded by the Speaker of the House.
That is correct.
Because a lot of people are already raising eyebrow as to why the NWC or the NEC will make that decision, knowing full well that there will be issues raised along the line, and the highest body aside the convention is the NEC that people could run to and consult when these problems come up.
No, but there's nothing unusual here. You're right.
People are already suspicious of the action of ceding the power to the NWC.
No, this is not the first time. The immediate past Critical Committee also had a similar, if you will, devolution of power of NEC to them. So up until the time that the Critical Committee ended its term,
but the climate
and the assumption,
the climate was different. There is a major election is coming. The primaries of elections are coming. So people are suspicious. The reason why
there's no reason to be suspicious. I mean, this is
no. It's not for me. It's for your members who are already suspicious of the action of the NEC today.
No, I'm addressing our members and anyone else who may have any reason to be suspicious. I'm saying that there's no legitimate reason for anyone to be suspicious. What happened today, was completely within the province of the authority of NEC to cede its powers to the NWC. And they did that. They were very specific. And matter of fact, the motion that was adopted provided for a specific period of 90 days. So this is not an indefinite period of time. It's for a period of 90 days that the NWC will exercise those powers that were granted to them.
So which are the specific powers that are ceded?
If you will, I can take you through.
Go ahead, please.
Some of them, yes. Now, one is that NEC devolved its powers under Article 13(3) of the APC Constitution to discharge all functions of NEC as constituted between conventions. So basically, that's like the omnibus power.
And then it's open-ended.
Yes. No, not open-ended.
It's open-ended.
It's not. It says, the powers of NEC as constituted between conventions may now be exercised by NWC. It's not open-ended. The power of NEC itself is not open-ended. The Constitution specifies the authority of NEC. So when that power is devolved to another body like the NWC it will never go outside of the authority granted by the Constitution to NEC to do anything at all.
Okay. So what are the other powers that have been ceded?
The other one is under Article 13(3)(4) of the Constitution, which gives the power to consider reports from national, state, local government areas or area council chapters of the party and take such decisions as are necessary to protect, advance, and consolidate the gains and interest of the party.
Okay.
And then we have Articles 13(3)(5) of the Constitution to exercise control and take disciplinary actions on all organs, officers, and members of the party and determine appeals brought before it by any member or organ of the party. So, you were right. That to the extent that some of the authority, even with regards to, the discipline of members of, the party, may be exercised by the NWC. Because, during the primaries, it's probably the most sensitive and the most engaging period of any political party.
Absolutely.
Because that's when the internal democratic, processes are put to the strictest tests.
Absolutely. So
and those who have to have the authority to govern the party. So NEC is merely empowering, the NWC to govern the party and to ensure that all of its, due process requirements during this very important period are met.
Okay. So clearly, because Governor Bagudu after the meeting was talking about the fact that indirect, I think that was where the confusion came from, that the indirect primary mode has been adopted. But you are clearly telling us that that has not been decided.
That was not decided today.
Have you decided on the zoning too?
No, that also was not in conversation today.
When will you decide on zoning?
In the coming days, I'm sure the party will make that decision. Now that the NWC has, its, fullest authority to, decide on some of those questions. Of course, in consultation with, the stakeholders and the leaders of the party as well.
There was a very funny question someone was asking, whether or not APC is a party that is established that is operating in Nigeria, when the cost of your nomination forms came to the public of 100 million for nomination forms, 70 million for the nomination form and expression of interest form for 30 million. People were wondering, is the APC aware of the present economic situation in the country? And that was why someone was sarcastically asking whether APC operates in Nigeria or not. I mean, what are your considerations for making, for those who think that this is exorbitant? Is there any reason behind?
For those who aspire to the highest office in the land, yes, I guess that argument is, people may ask the question, and, they may have legitimate questions, around that. But don't forget that at the same time, some of the most special groups of citizens were granted, high consideration, either in delivering nomination forms to them for free, as in the case of women, and people living with disability. But youth who are between ages 25 to 40 also were granted 50% discount on those ones for all positions, not just for House of Assembly, for even anyone who is 25 to 30 or to 40 who is running for the office of president will receive that nomination form you talk about at 50% discount. So they will pay the expression of interest plus 50% of 70 million.
We're talking about the value you've placed on it, and whether or not, where did you get the idea from? Who advised the party on the price tags?
Who advised the party?
Yes.
The party advised the party. On the price tag.
Correct. Is it consistent with the present situation of things in the country?
What is the present situation in the country?
The economic situation.
We still live in a
with 100 million naira.
Yes,
you will buy a duplex here in Abuja, and you will furnish it and live in it.
No, that is true. But don't forget, we also live in a country where people live, very opulent lifestyles, who make legitimate money.
Is your party for the rich?
Okay, it's not for the rich. I just told you that any woman, for instance, who intends to run for the office of president is not paying the full amount we're discussing.
No, but we're talking about the value.
The youth as well.
A discount is a consideration. Now,
it's a consideration.
The value that you place on it tells, gives us an impression of the intention and intent of the drafters of the principles behind the cost. And so one would be wondering why the party will put 100 million price tag on the cost of forms, and at a situation like this in the country.
Look,
is there a realization that economically things are not very good?
Yes. Things are not perfect. Things are not perfect economically. They're not perfect anywhere, right? Where are they perfect? Do you have an idea of a country where the economic situation is actually perfect? Is it the United States? Or is it the UK?
Shouldn't we be making decisions that reflect our situation?
No, we should. We should. And
does your party think that this is exorbitant?
The party thinks that, and made a decision that the value put on these forms are justified.
Okay, all right. So let's go into another aspect which the national chairman raised. He was the chairman of the Reconciliation Committee, and he said ego is at the heart of the problems of the crisis that the party is presently facing. And if you realize the problem, then how is the party resolving it? Because you're going into primaries that will further divide the party. Election divides people, because people then hold their beliefs and they pitch their tents. So how are you resolving those issues? Because the man who chaired the reconciliation is not the national chairman.
Correct. Don't forget that these same concerns were expressed loudly, almost to, unbearable decibels before the convention, right? About the specter of a meltdown at the convention. yes, we have issues and challenges with, bringing people and, keeping everyone together like we have everywhere. And we're working hard at it. This chairman has, even in that same speech today, expressed his determination and the determination of the NWC and the NEC and the leadership of the party to grapple with that. So everyone is conscious of the need to keep the party together and to maintain unity. We came out of the convention, better than anyone had forecasted. We will come out of our primaries even stronger to compete in the general election. We're working hard at it. I'm not taking that for granted. Every party man, party woman, party youth, all of us, at least the majority of us, recognize that this party has to be greater than anyone's personal interest or aspiration. While we will afford everyone the fullness of opportunity to express themselves and to compete, we will also be working hard to ensure that the common good of the party is not completely submerged, again on the altar of personal pursuits of aspirations.
On a final note, just in 30 seconds, if you may respond, there are talks about some very big weights heavyweights in your party leaving a party for the fear of the consensus and imposition of candidate. Is that also raised at a NEC meeting? And how are you rallying around to see that these people do not leave your party? Already Zamfara, some people are planning to leave.
Well, they have not left. Right? They've not left.
But they said
the discussions are going. Yeah. This is an ongoing thing. People are talking. Yes, people always will, and have a freedom to express themselves and to, make their choices and preferences. But the party is not asleep. The party leadership is also engaging vigorously. As a matter of fact, even in Zamfara, there were some, headlines that this had happened, but the individuals concerned, retracted. Conversations are going. These are party men and women who also care deeply about the party. So we hope that these decisions to leave, assuming they make them, are not made lightly, but are made with full consciousness that even where they're headed, it's not free from some of these tensions that they may be walking away from. I think we encourage them to stay and work it out, and that's what this leadership is determined to do. In the coming days, in the coming weeks, before primaries, you will see even an uptake of engagement by the leadership. You mentioned the chairman was the chairman of that committee, the reconciliation committee. So you can imagine that he knows some of the key, actors in this, discussion, and he's not going to spare any effort to ensure that, they all, come back into the fold and stay in the fold.
All right. I need to go now. But this needs to be pretty fast. Are you considering automatic tickets for your governor seeking second term?
That has not been discussed, and
okay, all right.
I don't see. Yeah, we haven't discussed that, and I don't imagine that that's going to be the case, anyways. Yeah.
Felix Moka is the National Publicity Secretary of the APC. Thank you so much for your debut on Politics Today.
That's right.
And I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It's going to be a very tough, busy period of time for you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.